All right, what's up, everybody? This is episode 8, I think, or 9, somewhere around there. But this is the Ask a Jazz Dude show where Ryan Heinlein, the Project H, comes through.
What's up, everybody?
Ask a Jazz Dude.
No, 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 no. Let's start the show. All right, what's up, everybody? We are not canceled. We're still here. The Ask a Jazz Dude show. My guest, Ryan Heinlein, great trombonist, arranger, composer, educator. Hey, man, so for the, like one person out there that's listening that doesn't know who you are,
All right.
tell them a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, I've been in Kansas City about 10 years. Right at 10 years now. I run the music department at Johnson County Community College now, the instrumental music department. Don't have to do vocal anything. I run a group called the Project H, and then just freelance around town, whoever needs trombone whenever they need it, and it's a good life.
Awesome. All right, so were you able to see the feed on your phone too?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure. As we got some people coming into the room. What's up, Sam Wiseman? Let us know. We had some issues with the sound last week, so I think it's going pretty strong. I can hear it relatively well, so that's good. The topic that I wanted to talk about today is tromboning in the modern world. So, like, I'm a trombone player. You're a trombone player. At least I know how to hold one.
Yeah.
But we have to get pretty creative to make a living at this beast.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your approach to figuring all this out.
All right. So my approach, today, should just be Ask a Trombone Dude. Then
yeah,
it has nothing to do with jazz.
Yeah.
It has a little bit to do with jazz. So I grew up. I didn't really get into jazz until later in college.
Right.
I grew up listening to what my parents and what my brother and sister listened to. So I listened to pop music. My parents loved old R&B and soul and funk and classic rock. So I grew up with Chicago and Tower of Power. That's what I knew when I heard horns.
Right.
And so in the mid 90s, you're a trombone player and you want to be a rock star. What do? You join a ska band. So I played in a ska band for 10 years. And that actually really kind of shaped my mentality as far as freelancing later in life.
Okay.
Where you've got to be able to do everything. When I moved to town, I was lucky enough to start playing with a big band, but I would take salsa band gigs. I would take reggae and ska gigs. I would play with hip hop bands. I played with a Jewish wedding band, like a klezmer band. That's the hardest gig in the world, by the way.
Chops.
Oh, man.
Chops.
Yeah. So what I learned is, even before I was like, okay, I'm going to be a tromboner. Oh my gosh. Trombonist for the rest of my life, and that's what I'm going to do, and that's how I'm going to, make my main source of my income. Was you've got to be able to do everything, because as far as jazz trombone, while we may think it's great, not getting a whole lot of restaurant gigs and things like that, and working 5 or 6 nights a week, you get to play in big bands, which big bands are great, but you don't get paid a whole lot when you got to split it 17 to 20 ways.
Hopefully I can change that, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm working on it.
I'm counting on you, my friend. So I think you just have to learn how to be as versatile as possible, learn how to read music really well, and be able to play different styles really well.
Right.
And that's still something that I'm working on today, really digging into specific styles. Okay, it's one thing to be able to read music, but then to you've got to do your homework and listen to the different articulations and different sounds. You can't go play It is, Bill. Yes.
And
Thank you.
he can say tromboner because we don't have to worry about FCC, right,
Yeah.
Bill?
It's like trumpeter.
Yeah.
So it's trumpet. Yeah. It's yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Off to a great start already. No, I think being able to read music is one thing, but just really digging into the style and listening to the style that you're playing and listen to the other people that play and figure out how to, I mean, for lack of a better term, impersonate their sound. It's like it's just learning different dialects.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I use that analogy all the time when I'm talking about future jazz. So what's up? Speaking of tromboners, Dave Cooper's in the house.
Oh, good.
What up, Dave? Yeah, guys, let me know who's all watching. Leave a comment because I actually can't see all the people who join. It only shows me certain people. So just say what's up, say where you're watching from. If you have a question for myself or Ryan, just leave it in the comments and we'll try to get to it.
And I'll get to it afterwards too, even if we don't get to the comment. Like I'll go back and watch this or look at the comments, and I'll keep answering stuff. It's fun.
Yeah, it'd be great if you guys would also share this feed because that just helps. It helps it be a better show for you guys. The more interaction we have, more people we have watching, the more interesting things can get. So just start to leave some comments and share, please. So you talked about being versatile as a musician. The second episode, I interviewed Lamar Harris, which is also another trombone player in St. Louis, and we talked about versatility. And he's like a trombonist and a DJ.
Oh yeah.
So it's like interesting, and he incorporates like live improvisation with his DJ stuff. So talk about a little bit. You mentioned about like having skills as certain as like sight reading and being able to read and know various styles. Do you think that's been like not stressed so much in like jazz education programs, or is it like are they more focused on like strictly jazz and not like commercial music?
I think if jazz education was a book that like I think it's being covered, but I think it's like chapter 14.
Mm-hmm.
Chapter 13. Wait, is that the bankruptcy one?
Yeah.
Okay. Whoops.
Oh my god.
I didn't even mean that.
Yeah.
I think it's something that they like it's something that they cover at the end, like, oh yeah, by the way, learn to play funk, so articulate this way, or hey, learn to play Latin music, so you got to do this instead of this. It's just sort of an oh by the way thing. At least in my experience with jazz school or sort of whatever. So I really think like music education in general, like that's where that's where we should be going. Like you go to jazz school, how many of you guys are actually playing jazz mostly? Like, what percent are you playing jazz of your gigs? Like, I think you need to learn. I think there's a place for rock. I think there's a place for like learning that like pop music rep. Like there's so many like wedding and corporate band opportunities, not just in Kansas City, but all over. I think it's important to know that. And I've been able to get gigs and keep gigs just because they start jamming on a tune and I knew the tune. It's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. Like, and it's the same way if like you're at a jam session, someone calls a tune, they're gonna, the people that are playing with you are gonna be more likely to like talk to you afterwards, or you be able to network with them. Same thing. Like if you know how to play a Bruno Mars tune, or how to play the horn line to a Temptations tune,
right? Like
that's gonna help you just as much as knowing how to play 26-2 or something like that.
Exactly. So Bill Sondel asks, is valve trombone cheating? I don't think it's cheating, but let me rephrase that. I do not like valve trombone simply because it sounds very stuffy to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like the tone of it is very stuffy. But who's
Bob Brookmeyer?
Bob Brookmeyer is a great trombone player, but great arranger. But yeah, I much prefer the slide trombone to valve trombone. What's up? Shout out to Nathan Williams for watching.
Oh, Nate.
Yeah, guys, just leave some comments. Let us know how things are going out there, where you're listening from. Be sure, if you haven't already, to like the Ask a Jazz Dude page on Facebook. That'd be great, so you can know when we'll be going live. We go live every Monday at noon. Thanks to our partner KKFI too for lending us the space and their audience and what they do for the community. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how you came about starting Project H, because that's your band.
Okay, yeah.
So,
all right, so Project H, it started, I mean, kind of what we were talking about, like trombone players don't get a whole lot of gigs unless it's big band things. So what do? And I started the band when I lived in Wichita, and I had to create my own work. At that time, so this is like 2006, 2007. At that time, I was also a 5 through 12 band director.
Woo.
Did you know that?
No, I did not know that, dude.
Yeah, I was a high school band director for 2 years, but also did like 5th grade, 6th grade. I had to teach 4th graders how to play chess too. That's a whole other story. But with that job and being 25 and, just kind of, I wasn't ready for that, like that aspect of like teaching. So there was a lot of frustration, and I would get out my frustration just by banging on a piano. And through that, it's like, you come up with like chord progressions at random, and then you start working. I was studying, just started as a couple of years into studying jazz a little bit, so start working on some things. Like, man, I could just write, and if I could just write my own tunes and then get gigs with my own band, then I don't have to wait for a big band or like a top 40 cover band to call. Because I mean, in Wichita, that was the work was for the most part. It was like you play with a cover band and you can get gigs. There wasn't a whole lot of standard, like jazz work. So I just started writing and finally got up the courage to ask a few of my friends to get together and rehearse. We rehearsed like 5 tunes, and I recorded them just to see, what was going to happen. And it just kind of went from there. And then I moved up here in 2008, and took me about a year to kind of get, do the same process of network with enough people, then get up the courage to like, hey, will you guys play? It's one thing, like, will you play in my band? And like, well, what's your band? Like, who are you? Right. But it's another thing to compose and create something, because it's part, like, to me, composing is very personal. So it's part of me. It's part of my soul.
Right.
And so to share that with someone, with other musicians, that was a big step. And then getting in front of people, that was another, sharing it with the public, so to speak, that was another big step.
Yeah, that's so tough to do, especially when you're starting out, because it's your music is very personal. And it's like, man, like, you just want people to like it, and like people not to talk bad about it or whatever. So like, yeah, that's cool, man. So started out in Wichita, taught band, which I didn't know, and that's crazy. Yeah, guys. So I'll leave some questions for Ryan here.
Please.
I don't want to ask all the questions. I don't really have. I'm not a man of substance, so I don't have very much to talk about.
I'm a man of substance too.
In the liquid form.
Yes.
Yeah. So Project H got started. I think, man, like, I really admire what you're doing, because I think that the bands that are going to, or the music that's going to catch on and build more of a following, it's just going to take time, but actual bands, like in jazz, we'll say jazz, there's like no real bands, man. It's like, okay, like, let's play this trio gig at a restaurant, and there might be like different guys there, every week.
It's freelancers coming together, which there's nothing wrong with that. But like, I think that comes from my background playing in like a ska band. I learned sort of that, that rock musician mentality of how you build not just build an ensemble, but you build a following. And, I think that's where I get a lot of my mentality for my group that way is, we're going to be a band. And so now, it took a while just finding the right people, or, people move on and whatever. but then you start to write for specific people, and it's like being a basketball coach. If you know everyone's strengths and weaknesses, you can exploit the strengths and try and hide the weaknesses.
Yeah, it's great. It's perfect. So I think that's going to be a good thing, and with the band, that you can actually rehearse. It's just the challenge is like building the following, but also generating enough work, because jazz musicians for the most part are very freelance, and it's like they have to pay rent and bills. So like if there's no gigs coming in, like a lot of people are not really loyal to what you're doing. So it's like
and I understand it's tough to invest in something that even if you're just playing once a month, it's like, okay, well that's $100 for this. There's my phone bill. Yeah, and now I've got to take care of everything else. So I think the more you can work and the more quality. I think it's quality gigs too, rather than quantity of gigs. I mean, we could go play, rock clubs in town and play a jazz, 1 or 2 jazz club gigs a month or whatever. But if the money isn't coming in, it's tough to get the freelance guys to invest. Right. And that can be frustrating at times, but I'm the one that signed up to do it. So you go with it, and you learn to roll with the punches. And lucky enough now where we've been around long enough that I've kind of got a depth chart of like, okay, if this guy can't make it, I know I can call these guys because they know the book. I'm not going to have to get in and do a bunch of rehearsals to get everyone up to speed. Yeah, man. That's this is a task. We're insane for doing this like music thing. But yeah, man, I really just think that the music that you do is really great. It's really composed really well. It's definitely got like a vibe to it. I was at your show, The Black Dolphin. I was just, man, like I had one of the best times. It was one of the best shows I've seen in the city for a while. And I think composing is, it's no different than practicing your instrument. You get better at with time. And like one of the things that I've really tried to focus on is trying to get more with less, and not over composing. Like if you listen to the first couple, everyone, man,
I overwrite so much.
With the new record that's coming out, I really tried to focus in on because that's been one of my strengths is writing like counter melodies. I've always gotten compliments on writing counter melodies, but really it's just me there's silence, got to have something going on. So you just you try and fill everything. And actually, I remember Richard telling me when I first started writing, I wrote this tune out, and he was playing. He's like, "Man, there's too many notes in this." It's like you got to settle down. I was like, and he was 18 at the time, so having an 18-year-old wonderkin tell you that, it's like, okay, well, and so that stuck with me though. It's like, okay, how can I write less here or have less going on, but have the same substance and same vibe that I'm going for? And that it's a challenge, but with time it gets better.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. What's up to Steve Lambert tuning in? Steve is a great tenor saxophonist.
Barry sax. Flute. Yeah. He plays everything.
He plays everything and plays the snot out of it. Steve plays the Green Lady's got a quartet, and then he was also has a big band, 627 big band, right? Mm-hmm. So thank you for tuning in. Bill asks, Ryan, for you, what is the best thing about making music?
Man, it's therapy for me. That's the best thing, is just getting stuff off my chest. Yeah. Whether that be through playing or through writing. I've made the comment before, whenever I get an idea for a tune, it's really at first it's okay, I got this new idea. Mm-hmm. But then if nothing happens with that idea, then it just kind of starts to fester, and it stays in my head until I get it out. And so the longer I have tunes in my head without getting them out, the crazier I go. And even my wife will say, if I'm grumpy or kind of in a bad mood, she's like, when's the last time you practiced? And that's what it is. Even just the most mundane type of practice, whether it's just doing long tones or practicing scales, that's therapy. Right. And then when you actually get out on a gig, It's an emotional release. It's a time where I can focus in on something, and whatever else is going on in my life goes away for that moment, for that set, for that gig, whatever. And that's something that I've held on to when I decide. Like, I remember leaving the performance side and going to the education side of my undergrad, and then going to like a trombone festival, and like it was just like 4 days of just playing with people and hearing incredible people play. And I was like, nope, that's for these last 4 days. That's all I thought about. Like, I haven't thought about anything else going on. So for me, that's the best thing, personally for me, is just, music is, being able to write and play music is therapy and keeps me sane.
That's true. And Bill, I'll chime in on that. For me, in jazz in particular, is like all the chicks that come with playing the music. So that's why I do it. Mm-hmm. That's why I do it. Anyways, so man, I'm gonna try to play this tune. I don't know if it actually ended up finishing or not, but I want to play a tune from your new record. Let's see if I can choose.
And it's great because I just talked about learning how to write simply, and it's probably the hardest, the busiest melody that I've ever written in my life.
So if I can play it, it'll be maybe it didn't play. Dang it! I'll have to figure it out. But I wanted to play Planet Smasher, but it doesn't look like it finished exporting. So maybe I'll open my iMovie and try to figure it out.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit. You have a new project coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So talk a little bit about that and
okay.
How you conceptualized the album, and talk a little bit about the musicians who are on it.
Sure. So this started about 2 years ago. I won a residency grant through a program called Escape to Create. Something Jeff Harshbarger, Mark Lowry, Matt Otto's done.
Right.
Calvin Scott did it this year. Victor and Penny did it, I think, as well. There's a lot of Kansas City musicians that were fortunate enough to do this. And it's basically I got to go down to a beach community in Florida. It's where they shot the Truman Show.
Very cool.
And live in a really nice timeshare for about 25 days and write. And so the project I initially proposed was to write a big band album. Well, it turns out writing big band music's really hard. And so everything that I was coming up with, like, it took about 7 or 8 days, maybe 9 days to start really getting into the swing of writing. But everything I was coming up with just felt, it's probably just because I had done Project H for so long at that point. Everything just felt like a Project H tune. With the big band thing, I was thinking, like, it'd be cool to have strings with the big band as well, just to add some, a little bit more depth, a different texture to work with.
Right.
And so when I started writing these and it sounded like Project H stuff, I was like, well, I'm just going to bring the strings into this. And so I've got a string quartet on half this. I ended up with 25 ideas when it was all said and done at the end of Escape to Create. And then just over the last, that was 2 years ago now, but over that time, I rework ideas and simplify them or pair them together or completely get rid of ideas, and coming up with actual tunes and figuring how it all works together, writing string parts. And then that was another thing, learning how to write for strings was that's really easy to overdo as well.
Yeah.
So through all that, I ended up with 10 tunes that I felt comfortable to be on the record. The strings are on 5 of them. I've got Stephen Martin playing tenor sax on one of the tunes because Brett Jackson's the normal tenor player, but since he's such a good doubler, he's playing flute on 2 tunes. He's playing bass clarinet on 2 tunes. So then I brought Stephen Martin in to play tenor sax on 1. And then I brought in Peter Schlam to play vibraphones on 3 tunes. So just with all that, there's one of the pieces that has 12 parts in it, which is great.
Wow.
There's so many different things to work with at that point. So I'm really excited to share this because I think just with the strings and where I was when I was composing these, it's, normally like when I compose, it's, there's some sort of like I compose as, to get some sort of stress out of my life. And here I was at a freaking beach and like just nothing but beauty. So I think these tunes have a little bit different feel. And like I said, the ones, especially the ones with the strings, have a much different feel than the rest of the Project H stuff.
Sam's question.
Uh-oh.
Do you deliberately write lines that are difficult or easy to play on the trombone?
Well, if you notice, I don't have to play a whole lot of difficult things when I write. Although I write difficult things, like the tune that we're hoping to play, the trombone doesn't have to play a whole lot because it was a really hard song. But I mean, like that's one thing is I know what lays well on a trombone. So if I'm going to write something difficult, I'm going to make sure it's in a key that I like, or the line that I write is going to lay well on a trombone where it's going to be as easy for me as possible.
Right. But man, do you ever run into this like because like when somebody's like playing your music for the first time, like because you're a trombone player, like they're like I'm not gonna look at it because like I could probably read it because the trombone player wrote it. I feel like that sometimes. I'm like, man.
So Rich Wheeler has coined the term, and we have stuck with it because with the monthly gig at the Black Dolphin, we're playing a little bit more frequently, and so we have a lot of subs. Rich Wheeler has coined the term panic reading, and he's like, man, I was panic reading the entire night. Just because it's like, yeah. So I definitely think there is a sort of a moniker that like where we might write a little more simply, but man, saxophones in your big band know better now. And but some of my like really good composers and really good arrangers, they're all trombone players.
Yeah,
I think like John Fedchock or Paul McKee, those guys they are
killing. Yeah,
incredible arrangements.
Man, I think it's because like where we sit in the band, in particular, like big band stuff. Yeah. It's like we're like kind of surrounded by everything, and like I think melody. Like I know tunes that I write in particular. Like a lot of times I'll imagine like someone singing them, and I want like an average person in the audience to be able to walk away like singing the melody. Like, so, I think that's like we have strength in like melody and then like in a supportive role because we're usually supporting.
Yeah.
And most melodies that are more simplistic are, easier to hear or recognize. So, all right. I think I got it. Okay. Hold on.
All right.
Oh, Pete Carroll just says you definitely write difficult trumpet parts. Thanks. What up, Pete? Yeah. Pete Carroll's a great trumpet player. Used to play for Al Green. Yeah. Great dude too. Okay, we'll answer Paul's question, and then we're gonna play Planet Smasher because I think I have it figured out.
Okay.
All right. So, guys, if you're just tuning in, see, I'm about to get like super pro on you. We have our guest here, Ryan Heinlein. Gonna do a CNN style. Bam!
Oh my gosh!
Woo! All right. So, So Paul asks, when you come up with song ideas, do you find your ideas fitting your group from the get-go, or do you have to adjust them to work with your group?
Sometimes that's a great question. Sometimes I have to adjust. I mean, obviously there are some where I come up with like perfect, like it'll come together really quick. But there is some adjustment. I try not to force too much, and that goes for every aspect of composing. Like if it feels forced, it doesn't feel honest to me.
I totally agree with that, man.
So, I mean, there are parts where it's like some tunes I just write and it's like, okay, this sounds great with just trombone and trumpet, or it sounds good with trombone or tenor and trumpet, or flute and guitar. Like that sounds really good. So, it's that initial pairing that's like, well, crap. Like, do I want that guy? I want the guy that's not playing to go get a beer, or do I want him to play just a little bit? And so I try and find something. A lot of times some sort of counter line. Like Planet Smash is a perfect example. Like that melody, I was like, no way trombone's playing. Not at least not me. Maybe Elliot Mason or Michael B. One of those guys could play it, but I'm not playing that. And then it just felt right to have sax and guitar play it. And then when I brought Peter on, I was like, okay, this has got Peter Shredfest all over it. So that left it as like, okay, well, there's not a whole lot for trombone and trumpet to do. So I gave us sort of the bridge of the, what would be the bridge of the melody. And, it's really quick. So I gave us some sort of little fanfare-ish thing to do. And that was it. And we struggle enough playing that little bit. So, but yeah, I don't try and I try not to force things too much, but
yeah, it's good, man. I think, for me, it's like, I pretty much, and which I think you are really good at too, is like, I think as a composer, like, I'm really not trying to like, I'm just very self-aware of like my sound and my concept.
Yeah.
So like, I think it just like, no matter who the group is playing it, it's like, it's your sound.
Yeah.
So like, I think you definitely have a sound.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes your music. It's the concept is really clear.
Yeah.
And like with the Brass and Bougie stuff, like that was the first time where like some of those charts, like I had solos in mind for specific people, and that's like, that's a cool thing to like start to think about. Oh, like this person would sound great over,
absolutely
this. But I think, just being self-aware really helps more so than writing for the people, I think.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we're going to play Planet Smasher now. And this is Ryan Heinlein, if you're just tuning in. His group is called Project H. And hopefully Planet Smasher plays. Here we go. If I could do an emoji, I'd do a little fire symbol right now. That was killing, man.
Thanks.
Yeah, so Ryan Heinlein, the Project H, great trombonist, even better guy, great educator, composer, arranger. We're talking about tromboning in the modern world, being tromboners.
That's the term, evidently.
Yes, the term. So yeah, and that tune was called Planet Smasher.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about why you called it that, like conceptualizing the tune or whatever.
There was a band called the Planet Smashers. I hated the band, but I always liked their name.
Right.
And just with the way that tune worked out, like I had the chord progression or the bass line the first, and then kind of just harmonize the chords to fit whatever the bass was doing, and then just started working with the melody really slow on it, obviously, and once I figured I was like, man, this is a really easy tune to just open up and let people go. And it can, like, live, it's even like live the tune goes, ends up a lot, starting off a lot quicker than what we did on the recording. And that the take that we took on the recording was quicker than original. Like the first couple, like we were like, okay, like let's, like Peter was actually the one that is like, hey, let's just go for it. Like just go at whatever tempo you want, and let's just do short to the point solos, which is a very Peter thing to do. And it it just took off, and same thing when we play it live. It's just Matt starts it off on the drums, and we just kind of look at each other like, oh, all right. Hey, Brett, have fun playing that. So it was just sort of a, people, it's killing, or we destroy, the destroyer. It's just like, okay, well, destroy the planet. It's just a planet smasher.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Peter can play any tempo.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't matter. It's disgusting. Yeah, so tell us when. I don't think you mentioned when is the album release, and are you doing CD release?
Yeah. So the album is going to be digitally released March 23rd. And then, so it'll be available on iTunes, and you can actually, I think you could pre-order it right now on Bandcamp. We're waiting on iTunes pre-order to go through and all that stuff. But March 23rd is when it'll be released on, you'll be able to download everything on Bandcamp, iTunes, Amazon, be on Spotify, all that good stuff. And then the actual CD release is going to be Wednesday, April 4th at Westport Coffee House,
Nice.
7:30, and we have, we're going to open up, we're going to play at 7:30, then at 8:30, 8:45, the Mark Lettieri Trio is playing.
Oh, killing.
And Mark is the guitar player for Snarky Puppy.
Yeah.
And he's bringing in Wes Stevenson, he's got a group called the Funky Knuckles out of Dallas, which is incredible. And then Jason Thomas is the drummer. Jason plays with Snarky Puppy. He's played with Roy Hart, the RH Factory. He's played with D'Angelo before.
Woo.
So it's just a killer trio. They're going to do a clinic at my school that afternoon, and then do the Westport Coffee House. So it's $15. All ages are able to go. There's only 100 seats in that place, so hopefully,
you'll pack that out. That's no problem.
That was the plan. So
nice.
Yeah, it'll be a killer show.
What is the? I can put in really quick. What is the link for your Bandcamp so they can?
Just Project H, not the Project HKC.
Okay, so Bandcamp.
Project H, I think it's Project HKC.bandcamp.
Oh.
Yeah.
Project
HKC.bandcamp.com.
Boom. So guys, if you want to go pre-order that, there's that link.
If you pre-order it, you get one of the songs right now that you can listen to.
Very cool.
And our other 3 records are there too.
Nice. Yeah, man, that's awesome, man. Congrats on the project. I know how much work that takes to get done,
and this one's been like, this one means more. Like the last 2 records we did like Kickstarters to help fund it. And I have no issue with, like, Kickstarters I think are oversaturated now, and it's after 2 it's like I have I have trouble like, hey, donate to our recording thing again. But man, like I think it just kind of goes with like the spot that I was in when I created, composed most of these tunes. Just kind of goes in with like, man, we worked our butts off to fund this ourselves. Just saving every dollar from every gig that I haven't paid myself for a gig since June of last year. Every dollar that I've made on a gig has gone straight, unless it's like $5 or whatever, has gone straight to that record. Wow. So yeah, it definitely means a lot more to me. There's a little bit more pressure. It's like, okay, like I hope this one pays off, and I'm just ready for it to be out at this point.
Countless hours of mixing and hearing yourself play.
Definitely.
That part is not fun. It's not fun at all. Cool. Oh, you're watching.
I am watching. No, Paul.
God.
That's about it. Paul Roberts, relentless.
Everybody, Paul Roberts.
Yep.
Paul Roberts was guest, I think, on episode 4. We talked about arranging. Paul's a great arranger, great piano player, bass trombone player, all the above. Yeah, so talk a little bit about, so we both compose, we both teach, we both play, we both arrange. Like what are some of your like process, like what's your process for basically like arranging?
For arranging?
Or composing.
Okay. For composing, like it's a different, like I don't have a single, like there's not like step 1, step 2. I guess step 1 is like I either come up with a chord progression, a melody, or a bass line, or sometimes even just like a rhythmic idea.
Okay.
And I go from there. A lot of times I'm most successful when I write a bass line first.
Okay.
If I can, because I write most of it's on piano, and I'm not a great pianist, but I'm okay. Like I would feel really bad if anyone ever paid me to play piano. But coming up with a bass line, and then I can harmonize the bass line however I want, because I wasn't I didn't actually take like jazz theory or anything. Like my jazz schooling was, I took improv at UMKC and was in the bands and a combo, and that's the extent of my jazz schooling. So a lot of it's technically non-functional harmony. Like there's not a whole lot of 2/5s in my music, but I like it that way. But if I can write a bass line and then come up with a harmony behind them, then I just start. Then I sing the melody. Like a lot of times I'll come up with a melody just by singing around, and because I'm in the same boat. Like I love Stevie Wonder is one of the best melodic writers I've ever heard, and so it's the same type of thing where if I can sing it, then hopefully they'll be able to sing it, and that's usually how it comes to be. Sometimes the groove or the feel of the tune is loud. The melody will dictate a lot of that. And then sometimes, I'll compose something, and then once I bring it into the guys, it's like, nope, it's got to be, we've got to do it this way. Like, it's going to be a lot better. You compose on like the piano and then put it into Sibelius or Finale or something. And my wife always thinks it sounds like The Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, I can't wait to get real instruments with this, because I just like, trust me, it's going to be better than that. So
yeah, my wife does the same thing she's like, oh, those MIDI trumpets sound terrible. Like, I'm like, yeah, you just have to use your imagination, so that's a good thing. I think people will never be able to recreate sound of brass instruments to MIDI. So I think we're safe in that regard.
Hopefully,
man.
Nope, Larry, I didn't. Hopefully not.
Somebody see, man, it's weird. Like you don't see all the comments. Like, so it shows certain people certain comments. So that's why I tell people to just like keep commenting so we can get your stuff. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, for me, arranging is like, or composing. I guess composing is it's always like, unless like I'd have to do a commission or something. But even then, like, I'm definitely like not trying to force it, and I'm trying to make it be like improvisatory in nature, so that like it sounds natural, as opposed to just like like forcing some stuff.
And to me, like, kind of piggybacking on to like talking about arranging, I actually have like I struggle with arranging for that simple fact that like I try not to force something, and then it's like, man, if I come up with an idea, like I don't want to attach someone else's song. Like if I'm gonna, write a cover of a tune, if I'm gonna do a Steely Dan cover, and I come up with which I'll never do. But if I came up with a Steely Dan cover, and I came up with a different feel to it, it's like, man, no, I like that feel. I want to write my own thing to it. And so I always that's a real big that's a big speed bump for me when I actually arrange someone else's tune.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I'm weird. I'm weird in the fact that like, I don't know. I think like because of my competitive nature and my like, I don't know, like I just like really believe in anything. Like I'm like, if I have an idea, I feel like it's strong enough to like, like not be contested. Okay. Which the person might be like, this sucks, but like, I'm like, I don't care. It's like, man, I just truly like, it's going to be strong with it. Like I have a strong idea. Cause it's like, man, like when I arrange for people sometimes, it's like, I don't typically work with people that are like, okay, you need to do this, this, and this. Yeah. Because it's like, man, it just takes the fun out of it for me. Yeah. Like I have to just like do my thing. And
well, at that point, it might as well be arranged by like Hal Leonard Publisher A or Hal Leonard Publisher B. Like, it's not your voice coming through that arrangement.
Right. So. Yeah. It's always touchy. In particular, like just like especially like popular music or songs that like people know. Like messing with that sometimes can be like a little bit forced. But I try to just do my thing. Oh, Jim Mayer.
Yeah, Jim.
Hey, Jim. What's up? Jim is I think he's the head of the music department, or at least instrumental
he's the
music.
Jazz director at KCKCC.
Yep. Great guy, great alto player, great educator. He says good stuff as always. Love the casualness and folksiness. Great stuff, guys.
That's the Canada coming out.
Yeah, man. I was like, yeah, that's totally Canadian. No, we're just joking. Yeah, man, I'm not really like a formal guy, so I can't. Everything is pretty casual for me, and I think Ryan too. So, yeah,
I dressed up today.
Larry Wagner.
Maybe that was the other one. I took care of that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, see, like it's just weird how stuff shows up. Nick Schroeder. What's
up,
up?
Nick's the jazz director at Hutchinson Community College.
Okay, where's that?
Hutchinson's in the middle of Kansas, about an hour northwest of Wichita.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
I'm not from here.
It's the
Nick,
community college community that we've
man.
got going on today.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing what you do, man. Yeah. Steve Martin, just talking about him earlier. Steve's got a record coming out pretty soon. Yeah. Steve is a killer on the saxophone, assassin on the sax. So thank you for tuning in, man. We're in the wheat fields. Yeah, cool. I forgot what I was going to ask you because we got on the composing thing.
All good.
Anyways.
More questions, too.
Yeah, more questions. We got about 5 minutes.
You can ask me anything.
Man, and it looks like people are starting to come in, too. It's like towards the end. So maybe I really do need to reconsider the time. Maybe I'll do like a Facebook poll and like ask people what time would be better. I just know this time works awesome for me, but So maybe leave in the comments, guys, like what time you would have to watch the show. What would be a better time for you, and then we can figure that out. So if you guys are watching on Facebook, please like the Ask a Jazz Dude page. Go to Ryan Heinlein's Facebook page, Project H, and also on Instagram and Twitter.
Yep, Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff.
At the Project H. If you're listening on YouTube later when I post this, please don't forget to subscribe. Also, for you that just don't like video and don't like to see our beautiful faces, you can go on iTunes.
Sons of bitches.
Yeah. Yes, our first cuss word on Ask a Jazz Dude. Yes, we did it. All right, now it's open season for me.
My folksiness coming through.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Sam goes not weekdays 1 to 3. Yeah, of course not, Sam. We wouldn't do you like that. Yeah. Sam has a show called Jazz in the Afternoon here at KKFI. which he will not be doing today. The show is still going on, so make sure you guys tune in at kkfi.org. You can listen to that online as well. So all you people that like audio, you search for Ask a Jazz Dude podcast on iTunes, or there's a great app called Anchor that you guys should check out. It's literally, man, Anchor is so cool. It's like you could do basically a podcast from your phone with the touch of a button.
Oh, nice.
It's like, so basically, like, all I have to do is take the audio from this, or I could literally have this phone going, press one button, records the show, you title it, and then you press stop, hit one more button, and it sends it to iTunes within an hour.
Cool.
Anchor. Anchor.fm, Ask a Jazz Dude. Just search it on Anchor, and you can find that, or either on iTunes. So, man, anything closing? I know you got the CD coming out. You got a show or anything you want to plug?
We'll be at the Orion Room this Friday. The Project H will be. And say with the CD coming out, most of the stuff right now is Project H stuff. Playing a funk band, playing a salsa band. I got to get the video game band going again. Konami Code with Peter and Brian Stever and Andrew Stinson just play 80s and 90s video game music, which is you should involve Kadesh with that. That's why I talked to him a little bit about it.
Dude, that's his whole, video game, animate, like.
Yeah. I'm just not as out as being a nerd as he is.
Yeah,
so.
He's like, he's a cool nerdy guy though. Like,
so Orion Room this Friday, and then the album release April 4th in Kansas City. April 7th will be in Wichita at Central Standard Brewery. And that's about it. We do Black Dolphin second Saturday of every month.
Very cool.
And then some more stuff down the pipeline that I can't talk about yet until it's finalized.
So, you heard it here first, the vagueness.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. All right, guys. So that's it for our show. Thank you for tuning in. We will be, who is here next week? Oh, I'm not sure who will be here next week because I will be in Costa Rica, but I'm trying to line up a guest to figure out how to do
this.
This
is my guest, Margarita.
Yeah.
How are you?
Be me sitting at the bar. Ask a Jazz Dude how many he's had. All right. Anyways, guys, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you spending time with us. Once again, this is Ryan Heinlein. This is Ask a Jazz Dude. My host, Marcus Lewis. Squad.
Share this.
Share this, please.